This Alfa Romeo Giulia is one of the oldest cars in the compact sports sedan segment. So does that mean it's lost a step or two? What's up, folks? I'm Dave Undercoffler, editor-in-chief of Autolist.com, a sister company to CarGurus. This generation of Giulia resurrected the nameplate way back in 2016, and since then, it's delighted drivers with its incredible handling, but frustrated them with its wonky reliability. For 2024, Alfa gave it a mild update to help it stay current. But is that going to be enough to keep up with rivals like the BMW 3 Series, Mercedes-Benz C-Class, Cadillac CT4, and Genesis G70? Let's go spend some time with one and find out. But before we do, be sure to like and subscribe to this channel so you can get alerts on all of our future updates. All right, let's start by taking a look at the exterior of this Giulia. Really, Alfa hasn't changed it all that much since it was first introduced back in 2016, but to me, that's okay. This is a beautiful car. I think it's aged really well. The main changes they made for 2024 are these headlights. They're a little more sculpted now, a little more modern, so I like the upgrades they've made there. The model we're testing today is the high-performance Quadrifoglio version. This starts at about $87,000, and it's more of a competitor to the BMW M3. But the good news is all Giulia models look largely like this version, and the base Giulia starts at about $47,000. All right, let's take a look at some of the specifics of this exterior. The color you see here is called Verde Montreal, and I love this color. I think it really matches the car itself. It stands out without being too obnoxious. It's a great alternative to blacks or grays that you see too often, so that's really nice. As I mentioned, you've got these really scalloped headlights up front, a lot of air vents. Again, this is the performance version, so it's got to be taking in a lot of air to keep everything cool. Down below, we've got a carbon fiber splitter, and then you've got the classic Alfa Romeo badge. Turning to the side, our Quadrifoglio model has functional vents on the hood here. You've also got it behind the wheel. This is the Quadrifoglio badge, so only this trim is going to have that on the Giulia. The wheels you see here are unique to the Quadrifoglio model. They're 19-inch alloy rims, and they've got high-performance Pirelli P0 tires. The brakes themselves have also been upgraded. We've also got carbon fiber rocker panels down below, and then our tester has the optional $2,500 carbon fiber roof. Finally, at the back, Alfa redesigned the taillights of all Giulia models for 2024. On our Quadrifoglio trim, they are darkened a little bit. We also have this carbon fiber spoiler here, and then a really aggressive diffuser down below and the quad exhaust. Another thing I like is that there's no Quadrifoglio badging back here. Alfa does a really nice job of just letting the rest of the styling speak for itself. All right, now let's take a look under the hood. And as I mentioned, we're testing the high-performance Quadrifoglio version. So this means we have a 2.9-liter twin-turbocharged V6 engine, makes 505 horsepower, 443 pound-feet of torque. It's rear-wheel drive only, and it's paired up with an 8-speed automatic transmission. The rest of the Giulia lineup gets a 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine that makes 280 horsepower and 306 pound-feet of torque. It comes in either rear-wheel drive or all-wheel drive, and it's paired up with an 8-speed automatic transmission. All right, now let's take a look at the interior of this Giulia. This is a bit of a mixed bag. Some areas it's aged very well, other areas it's starting to feel a little outdated. The things that I like are the general build quality and layout of this interior. Anything you touch feels very premium. It's sort of laid out exactly where you would go to reach for it, so that's very nice, very ergonomically sound. I like sort of the stitching here on the dashboard. It's a leather-wrapped dashboard. Our Quadrifoglio model has this sort of exposed carbon fiber weave. That's pretty cool. The seats have really nice bolstering. They're nicely adjustable. And then for 2024, Alfa updated all Giulia models to give them a 12.3-inch digital display here, and that's a nice addition. But then there are some areas where the Giulia is starting to show its age, primarily right here. This is an 8.8-inch touchscreen infotainment system. It doesn't have wireless Apple CarPlay or wireless Android Auto. You've got to use the old school cord for that. And it's just kind of small these days in 2024. Many other cars, especially in this segment, have much larger screens. And then the menus themselves do take a little getting used to. So all of that is frustrating. I do like that there is redundancy. It is a touchscreen, but then you also have a rotary knob down here. So that's handy, but it still feels a little outdated in 2024. A couple of other highlights in this interior I want to point out. For one, you've got your volume knob down here in the center console, and then on the other side is your drive mode select. What I like is that these three buttons, these three rotary knobs, are all different sizes and have slightly different textures. So last night I was driving, I was able to keep my eyes on the road and know exactly which of these buttons I was reaching for, so that's pretty cool. I also love these paddle shifters. These are very Italian paddle shifters. They're mounted to the steering column, absolutely massive, so you really can't miss them when you're driving pretty hard. And then finally, you've got your red engine start-stop button right here on the steering wheel. All right, now to rear seat space. And no one buys a compact sports sedan like this Giulia for the space back here, but I'm actually pretty impressed. This is livable. I'm 6'1". I've got the front seat adjusted to where I would have it if I were sitting up there. So basically I'm sitting behind myself. And Overall, this is pretty comfortable. I've got enough room for my feet. It is a little tight on my knees, but the seat back is cut out a little bit, so I've got some space there. Headroom is also good, so that's pretty nice. We also have some amenities back here. I've got 3-stage heated seats. We have USB charge ports and cup holders built right in to the armrest. And then finally, turning to cargo space, the Giulia has 13 cubic feet of space back here. That may not sound like a lot, but it's actually more than the Audi A4 or the Mercedes-Benz C-Class, but it is down compared to the BMW 3 Series. If you do need extra space, the seats do fold flat for extra cargo room. All right, next up, driving impressions. And this is where the Giulia absolutely earns its stripes. You forget about the aging infotainment system and maybe the unreliability of this car, and you just have a blast driving it. It's a very natural car. It's very lively. You have a sense of where it is on the road at all times. And I know we're driving the high-performance Quadrifoglio version, but that's true for even the base model. It's just a fun, happy, engaging car to be driving. I also like that this Quadrifoglio is rear-wheel drive. It just gives the car a very natural feel. There's a little bit of oversteer built in. So if you are shopping for the base model, my recommendation is go for the rear-wheel drive version. I think you're gonna have the most fun in that one. What's also cool are the drive modes. There's 3 different ones on this Quadrifoglio and then an additional race mode. Each of the drive modes gives the car a very unique feel, so you can have a very docile daily driver in this Quadrifoglio, and then when you're on a canyon road like this, you can turn it up and have a lot more fun. So I like that adjustability and that flexibility. What's also cool about the drive modes is you can tune the dampers separately from the modes itself. So maybe you're on a road that's kind of rough, but you still want to have it in race mode. You can put it in race mode and then turn the dampers to a softer setting. And that's really nice customization. I also want to call out this transmission. This is a phenomenal transmission. It's an 8-speed automatic, but it behaves very much like a dual clutch. It's very responsive. The shifts are very quick, and the timing of them when you leave it in complete automatic mode are really well timed. I'm also impressed by both the steering and the brakes, and that's the case for both this Quadrifoglio model, but also the base models as well. The steering wheel kind of shrinks when you start driving hard, and that's a good thing, but there's really good feedback from the steering itself, and then the brakes, really firm, responsive without being overly sensitive. It's a great combination. So then this Quadrifoglio version takes all that and pairs it with 505 horsepower, and the result is just an absolute blast to drive. You can drive hard on canyon roads like this and have a great time and keep up with your buddies who are in sports cars. And then for a daily driver, again, it's comfortable, luxury experience in a compact sports sedan, and I love that flexibility. The only nitpick I have with how this Giulia drives is the visibility. It's fine out the front and out the back, but this A-pillar is kind of thick, and then this B-pillar is absolutely massive. It blocks a lot of the cars over your shoulder and your blind spot while you're on the freeway, so that's been a little bit of an issue. Fortunately, we do have blind spot monitoring and lane keep assist just to keep us safe. All right, folks, there you have it, our review of the 2024 Alfa Romeo Giulia. Pros, well, this Giulia has some of the best handling in the entire sports sedan segment, and that's saying a lot given the competition that it's up against. Plus, the exterior styling of this Giulia is aging really well. It's going to continue to look good throughout the years. And finally, the build quality is stout and rock solid on the interior. Cons, well, the big one is reliability. This Giulia has always struggled with that, so it's a bit of a gamble if you do opt for this car. And the interior tech is definitely showing its age with the screen size and the lack of wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. But if you're willing to take a chance on this Giulia, it's gonna put a smile on your face every time you get it on the road. So for reviews or listings of this Giulia or anything else you're shopping for, new or used, be sure to check out CarGurus.com. And before you go, like and subscribe to this channel so you can get alerts on all of our future updates. Thanks for watching.